What's happened, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the show, by the way. What's happened to humanity? To people who work for, let's say, I don't know, government departments? What's happened to them? Have they been turned into some strange kind of weird, unfeeling robots? Because it certainly seems to be that way to me. People have been emailing me in and saying, had this problem and I faced one of these officious, more than my job's worth, mate, type person. And they're very cold, unfeeling, have no humanity in it. And what are we doing? What are we doing, ladies and gentlemen, to the people in this world who work for these corporations? I mean, we know that corporations in and of themselves, and that includes governments and councils and the police, are dead entities. These are sort of businesses that have been produced on paper. They're not living and breathing like you and I, ladies and gentlemen. But what's happened to the people that work in them? It seems to me that more and more we're getting people who are basically there, who have no personality, and they have no feeling, no sense of being a member of the human race on this planet, like the other men and women that come in and have absolutely no feelings whatsoever, as they dish out and say to them, sorry mate, we can't help you, so tough tits, off you go. Which does seem to be very sad. No wonder people like me and others are sort of up in arms and saying, but you've got no feeling. We know the government, for example, has no feeling whatsoever for the people it's supposed to be helped. And I keep going on about this. Isn't the government supposed to be there for us? Aren't we the ones? Aren't we the masters of them? And if they're not doing a good job, then we ought to be getting shot at them. Aren't we the ones when you go into, I don't know, the Department of Work and Pensions, for example, and if they're not doing the job they're supposed to be doing for us, because if we're paying our taxes, if we're paying their wages, they are our public servants. If they're not doing the job, if they're cold and nasty and have no sensitivity whatsoever, then we ought to be in a position to say, I'm ever so sorry, but you're losing your job, mate. Two can play at that game. I had an email. I want to read it out to you, see what you think, because I am absolutely convinced that this is happening across the whole country and that many people are having to deal with these interface type characters who are just there as barriers, who have no feeling whatsoever for the people who come in. They've been desensitized. And I think this is the big problem, that people who are working in social services, in services in which they are dealing with other humans who are vulnerable and who have difficulties, who are trying to navigate life, and these people who are supposed to be there running the services that we're paying for have been desensitized and become dehumanized. So let's have a look at this one. This is from one of my viewers who emailed me today. I've taken away all the names and all of that. So here we go. He says, back in February, a good friend of mine was diagnosed with throat cancer. He has had a treatment and it's got the all clear now. Although at the end of this treatment, he'd not been able to work for about 6 months. Well, you can understand that. You've got throat cancer, you're not very well, of course. His savings had taken a bit of a bashing and he went to the Department of Work and Pensions in his town to see if he could get any help. He wasn't able to speak due to the treatment, and to get him through it, he took his partner. They had a meeting with the same agent that he, the author of the email who told me about his stuff, had a grievance with. Their application was refused due to a mistake made by the friends. They tried to discuss the matter with the agent, but the agent just would not listen, and said as long as he'd finished his treatment, he was ready to go back to work. She was so cold with them that a friend and his partner, they left in tears. The agent is a real job's worth with no sympathy for people she meets when they are at their lowest. People like this should not be in their position. Absolutely right. They should be out on their ear. And where do you go? How do you complain? How do you say, I'd like to raise a concern about this individual who is dealing with vulnerable people and we are paying for it? What do you do? And why are these people? But as I say, I think they're being desensitized. I think this is something that is right across the board, and it should not be tolerated. This is the problem, it seems to me, with these big corporations, particularly these government agencies who are supposed to be dealing with it. Now, I've got a friend who was on universal benefits, and this friend had children and was dealing with them and wanted to get a job, and every time that a friend of mine went in there, the person talked down to them as if they had just come off the street as a piece of piece of dirt. These people are not sympathetic. And in the end, this friend of mine said to me, he said, look, will you come in with me? And I said, yeah, okay, I'll come in with you and just witness what was going on. So we went in together and I saw what was going on. And this chap was being treated so badly. I said, this is just not on. This is not on. And in the end, I had to say something. Which, of course, didn't help matters whatsoever, because the bloke behind the counter was going, well, what business is it with yours? Well, I'm so sorry. I am a mate of my friend here, and I do not like the way you're talking to him. This is not how you talk to another human being. I'm ever so sorry, but I should be making complaints. Well, you do what you bloody well like. You know what I mean, because you've got this position and we're the ones handing out the money. Well, let's hope that you never get into a position where something goes wrong with your health and you have to take some time off and then go back in with the cap in hand asking for some help, because you never know, you might end up facing another of these faceless, emotionally deprived people who are there supposed to be doing the work of the government, which is there to help us, seeing as we're the ones that are paying for it. They don't have their own money. They don't have the taxpayers of this. Now, this is another reason why trying to get out of paying tax. But of course, how can you get it? You can, if you're like me, self-employed, you could say, well, I'm not going to send in my tax return. That's one way. But when you fill up your car with diesel, when you buy food, when you buy clothes, when you buy, all other bits and pieces, you're paying tax. You're paying the VAT. It's very difficult to get completely tax-free and then kick the government up the backside and say, oi, just remember who you're working for. Thank you very much. You're working for us, not the other way round. And this is something that I think we've all got to get to grips with. When they go after the farmers and their inheritance tax, and when they start spraying the skies, and when they're putting fluoride into the water, we're the ones who are paying them. We're the ones asking them to work for us. And if they're not working for us, if they become dehumanized, if they are unable to sympathize because the strings are being pulled by outside, by those people who are in mysterious, dark, smoke-filled rooms, making sure that the population is suffering, then we've got to turn around and say, no, actually, it's time for an alternative. It's time now to say goodbye to that system. And that system is not working. It's unfit for purpose. It's time to do something else. That's just an opinion. See what you think. Check it out in the forum. We've got a new forum, ladies and gentlemen. Now, in my last video, apparently, I was told off because I put the wrong URL in. It's HTTPS, and if you don't have the S in it, apparently the certificate says, oh, this is a bad place. So I shall put the proper one. It is actually in the description, so you can do that and go into the forum and you can discuss these things with like-minded people and put up your grievances and tell us what's going wrong. That would be absolutely fantastic. Anyway, thank you very much. That's it. Have we become a race of people who are so dehumanized, we've lost the humanity with one another? We have lost the love and affection that we have for our fellow man. Is that the situation? I'd like to know your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.